Happy Victoria Day and welcome to Thunder Bay. We'd like to acknowledge that we are filming today from the traditional territory of Fort William First Nation and MQWaju, and just like to say hello, welcome. So part two, this is our third week into the course right now. We've had an opportunity to see some case studies. The first round have gone up, and we really had a good discussion, I think, around relationships and the personal resources. Speaking about privilege, inclusive and respectful schools, and the case study. So Christy's gonna
so some reflections on folks' pieces about the personal resources and particularly privilege. That discussion always gets well, I guess it gets us some very rich contributions, and I think everyone's reflecting at a time. You know, we do have some real pieces moving forward with regard to equity and within our schools and within Ontario, particularly. And federally with regards to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and how we move forward with that and what that looks like in our schools. We examine the FNMI framework at that point along there, but there's some bigger, deeper questions about equity and privilege and where people are with that right now. And I think Denise was posting an article on Twitter just recently, speaking from the Star, regarding white privilege, and it's a tough topic to discuss because it brings up some really strong feelings. And I think this is a part where your EQI ties in really closely, and this is something I notice people drawing on. Those resources, when you start thinking about empathy and looking at others' perspectives and self-awareness and self-actualization and self-regard and those pieces, they become really important as we start to pull apart sort of identities. And we start to think about how others may view us and how we view others and how we make that operationalized in a school so that everybody feels safe and a part of the same community. So those are some of the really rich discussions that were coming through in part two, and there's some practicums up now. So thank you to all those who got all their practicums signed up for.
The first ones are always the toughest.
If you haven't by any chance, please let us know and we'll get you signed up and be sure you're in a module, and we look forward to continuing to reading all your great reflections. Thank you.
Now, Module 3, which is starting today, or tomorrow, I guess. This is really focused on setting direction. So creating a vision for your school, thinking about that culture of inquiry and how that may be layered into your school, and then thinking about assessment and metrics of success. And we've had some good conversations about why we chose these particular things to put together. And I also read a fair bit around the vision and how do you set vision if you don't have relationship, and how do you communicate that, and all of those layers within the Ontario Leadership Framework and how they all tie together. So what we'd like you to do, you have a few options. You have an option to do an activity that you would use to create a vision in your school or have used, or alternatively you can actually share the vision that you've chosen and how you work through that process with your school. So it's important exercise. I think if you're new, we have several people that are taking new placements in the fall for either vice principal or principal.
Some are already in those roles, acting as well.
Yeah, so really be thinking about how you're going to do that, because that is an opportunity to be collaborative with your group rather than just coming in and saying, this is my vision. I know I started a new job this year and I had a few staff who were like, can you tell us what your vision is? And I said, well, I'm waiting. I know what I think, but I want to see how we actually unfold. Because it's not a quick stop for me, it's a long stop there. So, but I just really want to see the strengths of the team, look at our data, find out, what's working for us, what people are saying are challenges for us.
There's a piece of that about respecting the vision that has been there before, because just because you're new to a building doesn't mean there wasn't a vision. Often there was, and whether it needs to be changed or not is really part of that, building relationships with that staff and creating a collaborative environment where everyone can share.
So the other piece is really thinking about collaborative inquiry, or the culture of inquiry. We have a variety of articles and some activities in there for you to look at, some documents. And it was interesting reading some of the posts already in earlier modules around inquiry and what is inquiry versus what's not inquiry, and the way different school principals are enacting that. The final piece is around assessment and metrics of success.
So that's taking a look really closely at how we talk about and measure success and what that means to the community you're in. And I think some of the pieces going forward from here really talk about, particularly those who've looked already at the sort of servant leadership and those pieces, is about the community that you're in and understanding what success means to them. And that includes your staff, your school, your students, your parent community, even the external community that aren't part of your school. So that means the people around you, whether it's businesses or community partners. What does success look in their eyes? And that's really critical when you start talking about how we're going to measure whether your school is achieving its vision or not. There are some very standardized metrics of success, and for those of you in elementary schools, we're walking into EQO right now, and that's one of them for certain. But is that the only one? And whose metric of success is that? So who values that? Those are some really big questions to ask as you get into that. Okay.
So it's a great module. We look forward to reading and, of course, seeing the practicums that are being posted.
Yeah.
So have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.